over 5,000 years old, still practiced, still producing results, and still largely ignored by the modern world until now. Because buried inside this ancient system is something that directly solves one of today's biggest health crises. The fact that millions of people cannot sleep, not properly, not deeply, not the way the human body was designed to. Ayurvedic physicians weren't guessing when they prescribed specific spices for sleep. They were working from thousands of years of documented clinical observation, generation after generation of healers refining exactly what the body needs to shut down, restore, and wake up healed. And now, modern sleep researchers are running those same spices through labs, and the results are stopping them cold. These aren't exotic ingredients you've never heard of. Most of them are already sitting in your kitchen right now. They were just never explained to you correctly. So before you reach for another melatonin gummy that wears off at 3 a.m. and leaves you groggy by morning, you need to see what a 5,000-year-old system already figured out about your sleep. 10 spices, ancient prescription, modern proof, and tonight could be the first night everything changes. Stick around, because number 7 on this list was so precious in ancient India, it was worth more than gold by weight. Ayurvedic royalty used it exclusively for exhaustion, so severe it was called the sleep of the dead. Modern neuroscientists now call it one of the most powerful natural cortisol regulators ever studied. And number 10? Or ancient texts called it the divine tranquilizer. Modern sleep researchers are stunned by what it does to the brain's stress response, especially in people who haven't slept properly in years. Before we dive in, if you want ancient wisdom backed by modern science every single week, hit subscribe right now. You do not want to miss what's coming next on this list. Cinnamon. The blood sugar guardian of the ancient night. Ayurvedic healers called it twak, and they prescribed it specifically for restless, interrupted sleep caused by inner heat and imbalance, not for flavor. As medicine, here's why it works. When your blood sugar crashes at 2 a.m., your body fires cortisol as an emergency response. That cortisol is exactly what jolts you awake. Cinnamon stops that crash before it starts, and modern research has confirmed it. The preparation is simple. Half a teaspoon of true Ceylon cinnamon in warm milk or herbal tea, 30 minutes before bed. Not the cheap cassia powder from the supermarket. Tell me Ceylon, because the difference between the two is the difference between medicine and imitation. Cumin, the forgotten regulator of your body's inner clock. Ancient physicians called it jira, that which helps digestion. But they prescribed it at night for a deeper reason. They understood that a disturbed gut meant a disturbed mind, and a disturbed mind meant a disturbed night. Modern research has confirmed the mechanism. Cumin contains compounds that interact directly with your circadian rhythm, your sleep-wake cycle, helping your body recognize when it's time to wind down and release melatonin naturally. It doesn't force sleep. It reminds your body how to find it. The preparation. 1 teaspoon of dry roasted cumin seeds simmered in warm milk for 5 minutes. Strain it. Drink it before bed. And do it consistently, because your body will begin to recognize it as a signal. And that signal compounds over time. Fennel. The gentle gatekeeper of the nervous system. Ayurveda called it Shatapushpa, 100 flowers. It was prescribed for one specific type of person. Tired, but wired. Body exhausted. Mind still racing. Fennel has genuine sedative properties, not pharmaceutical, not knock you out. It quietly lowers your nervous system's activation level while relaxing the digestive tract simultaneously. Because in Ayurvedic understanding, you cannot have a calm mind in an agitated body. Modern neuroscience agrees. The preparation. 1 teaspoon of fennel seeds steeped in boiling water for 10 minutes. Drink it slowly, an hour before sleep. Ancient healers prescribed the slowness deliberately. The act of drinking something warm and aromatic is itself a signal. The day is ending. The body can let go. Nutmeg. The spice ancient healers trusted above all others for sleep. Of everything in the Ayurvedic sleep arsenal, nutmeg holds a singular place. It was prescribed specifically for vata imbalance, what modern language calls an overactive, anxious, racing nervous system that simply cannot settle. Here's the mechanism. Nutmeg contains myristicin, a compound that interacts with the brain's serotonin pathways, the same pathways pharmaceutical sleep aids target, but through a far gentler, more natural route. The preparation is precise, because nutmeg is powerful, and a little goes a long way. A pinch, no more than 1/8 of a teaspoon, stirred into warm milk with honey, 30 minutes before bed. One of the oldest sleep rituals in Ayurvedic practice. Thousands of years of use. It worked then. It works now. Brahmi. The herb ancient scholars used to silence the mind. Brahmi wasn't just a sleep herb. It was a medhya rasayana, a rejuvenating tonic for the mind itself. Ancient students, scholars, and monks used it to calm mental overactivity during the day and achieve deep, undisturbed sleep at night. It works by reducing the neurological noise that keeps modern people staring at the ceiling at midnight, the mental chatter, the anxiety loop, the wired but exhausted state that no amount of lying still seems to fix. Ayurveda calls this disturbed prana vata and identifies it as the root cause of most stress-related insomnia. 2 traditional uses. First, half a teaspoon of Brahmi powder in warm water before bed. See second, and this one is extraordinary, Brahmi oil massaged into the scalp. Ancient healers called it Shiro Abhyanga, head oil massage. They prescribed it as one of the most effective treatments for chronic sleeplessness ever developed, and people are rediscovering it right now. Jatamansi, the root Ayurvedic healers reached for when nothing else worked. When ancient physicians encountered patients so consumed by anxiety and sleeplessness that every common remedy had failed, they didn't prescribe more. They prescribed differently. They reached for Jatamansi, a rare Himalayan root, the last and most powerful tool in the sleep restoration arsenal. Here's what makes it extraordinary. Jatamansi works by directly influencing GABA pathways in the brain, the same inhibitory pathways that prescription anti-anxiety medications target. So it tells the brain's alarm system to stand down, not by force. By chemistry, the human body already recognizes. The preparation: half a teaspoon of Jatamansi powder mixed with warm water or honey before bed. Ancient healers were specific. This wasn't a casual remedy. It was prescribed with intention, as part of a deliberate evening ritual. That intentionality, they believed, was part of the medicine itself. Saffron, the golden thread ancient royalty used to buy back their sleep. Saffron was not a spice, it was a royal medicine, worth more than gold by weight. Emperors and physicians guarded it, and it was prescribed for one specific condition, what ancient texts called the exhaustion that sleep cannot cure. What we now recognize as chronic stress-induced insomnia. Here's what most people miss. When Ayurvedic healers treated royalty for severe sleeplessness, the kind caused by the weight of power and chronic stress, they didn't prescribe more rest. They prescribed saffron, because they understood the problem wasn't the absence of sleep, it was the presence of something blocking it. Modern clinical research has now confirmed this with striking precision. Saffron extract has demonstrated efficacy for moderate insomnia directly comparable to pharmaceutical sleep aids, without the dependency, without the grogginess, without the side effects. Its active compounds, saffronol and crocan, gently shift the brain from alert to at rest. The preparation: 3 to 4 strands steeped in warm milk for 10 minutes before bed. A drink called Kesar Dut, consumed across India and Persia for thousands of years. You don't need a supplement. Well, you need the real thing. Ashwagandha. The ancient adaptogen modern sleep science cannot stop talking about. Of everything on this list, ashwagandha has attracted the most modern scientific attention. And for good reason. Ancient healers named it Withania somnifera, the sleep-inducing plant. They prescribed it for the category of exhaustion that goes deeper than tiredness. The kind where your body is spent, but your nervous system is still firing. Modern clinical studies have confirmed it across the board. Ashwagandha significantly reduces the time it takes to fall asleep, increases total sleep time, and improves sleep quality, particularly in people with stress-related insomnia. The mechanism: its active compounds, with analytes, reduce cortisol, the stress hormone that is, in most cases of modern insomnia, the actual villain. The preparation that has taken over modern wellness is moon milk. Warm milk, ashwagandha powder, a pinch of cinnamon, a touch of honey. Consumed slowly in the quiet of the evening. Ancient medicine and modern wellness have arrived, independently, at exactly the same conclusion. Cardamom. The spice ancient healers called the opener of the heart. Cardamom, Ela, was unlike any other spice in Ayurvedic tradition. It wasn't prescribed for the body. It was prescribed for the emotional body, for grief, for anxiety, for the kind of heaviness that settles in the chest and makes rest feel impossible. Ancient texts described it as the spice that opens what has been closed. They meant that both physically and spiritually. There are recorded accounts of cardamom being used in grief rituals, prescribed to those who had lost someone, not just to help them sleep, but to help them breathe again. Ancient healers understood something. Modern medicine is only beginning to quantify. Emotional pain and physical sleeplessness are not separate problems. They are the same problem. Modern science has identified the mechanism. Cardamom's active compounds, cineola and limonene, measurably reduce anxiety at a biochemical level, and it contains melatonin precursors that support your body's natural sleep hormone production. The preparation: 2 or 3 crushed cardamom pods, steeped in evening tea or warm milk. A ritual so ancient it predates written Ayurvedic texts by centuries. The turmeric with black pepper. The divine tranquilizer ancient Ayurvedic texts placed above all others. We've arrived at number 10, the one I saved for last, because this may be the most extraordinary sleep story on this entire list. Ancient physicians didn't just call this a remedy, they called it the golden healer, a sacred pairing prescribed for the deepest category of sleeplessness, not caused by one imbalance, by a system-wide inflammation that had quietly taken over the entire body. Here's what modern researchers are stunned by. Chronic inflammation, low-grade, invisible, systemic, is now understood to be one of the primary drivers of sleep disorders. It disrupts sleep cycles, elevates cortisol, and locks the nervous system in a state of permanent low-level alert. Turmeric's active compound, curcumin, is one of the most potent, natural anti-inflammatory agents ever studied. But here's the detail that stops scientists cold. Curcumin is nearly useless without black pepper. Black pepper contains piperine, which increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. 2,000%. And ancient Ayurvedic healers were already prescribing this exact combination thousands of years before biochemistry existed to explain why. The preparation: warm milk, turmeric, black pepper, a touch of honey. golden milk. The single most prescribed evening drink in the entire Ayurvedic tradition. Not for one condition, for all of them. Because when you reduce inflammation, calm the nervous system, and nourish the body simultaneously, sleep doesn't need to be forced. It arrives on its own. Ancient physicians weren't guessing. They were observing. And what they observed, modern science has confirmed at the molecular level. Sometimes the oldest remedy is the wisest one. 10 spices. Thousands of years of use. Centuries of accumulated wisdom we nearly threw away. In the rush to replace everything natural, everything ancient, everything grown from the earth, with something manufactured, patented, and sold back to us at a premium. Here's what I want you to take away. The healers who built Ayurveda weren't primitive. They weren't guessing. They were extraordinarily observant. They paid meticulous attention to what healed people, what restored them, what allowed them to sleep deeply and wake up renewed. And they built an entire medical system around those observations. A system so precise it has survived intact for over 5,000 years. And now, modern science, with its clinical trials, double-blind studies, and biochemical analysis, keeps arriving at the same conclusions. Cinnamon stops the 2 a.m. blood sugar crash. Ashwagandha cuts the cortisol, keeping your nervous system on permanent alert. Saffron performs comparably to pharmaceutical sleep aids, without a single side effect. Turmeric and black pepper together dismantle the systemic inflammation, silently destroying your sleep from the inside out. The ancient texts were right. They just didn't explain the mechanism, because the mechanism wasn't the point. Restored, restorative, life-giving sleep was the point. And here is what I find most remarkable. These aren't rare substances locked in a laboratory. They aren't available by prescription only. They are sitting in your kitchen right now, or one order away. The gap between where your sleep is tonight and where it could be is not a pharmaceutical gap. It is not a technology gap. It is an awareness gap. And that gap, for you, just closed. One last thing before I let you go. Information without action is just entertainment. Everything we covered today is available to you, but quality matters enormously. The difference between a genuine, bioactive, traditionally sourced Ayurvedic spice and a radiated powder in a plastic jar on a discount shelf is not a small difference. It is the difference between the remedy ancient healers prescribed and something that merely resembles it. That distinction is everything. If this planted something in you, subscribe to Fertile Roots and join the journey. Every like and share helps us grow, nurture, and thrive together. See you in the next one.